We idolize our tech heroes in this era of technological obsession. The leaders of the technology sector are treated like rock stars, and their announcements of cutting-edge technology are heard by billions of people worldwide. The Serbian inventor Nikola Tesla, who held nearly 300 patents, was in charge of such groundbreaking technology as the alternating current, was one of the first tech icons. Nikola Tesla, a Serbian-American engineer and physicist, made numerous advances in the generation, transmission, and use of electric power. He invented the first alternating current motor and pioneered the development of AC generation and transmission technology. Despite his notoriety and respect, he never succeeded in turning his innumerable inventions into long-term financial success, unlike Thomas Edison, his main rival and former employer. In this video, we'll tell you about Nikola Tesla's last message and his prediction to future generations revealed in old documents. On July 10, 1856, Tesla was born in the Croatian town of Smiljan. He arrived in the midst of a lightning strike. The midwife reportedly predicted that the child would be a child of darkness halfway through birth, to which the mother allegedly responded, "No, he will be a child of light." She had no idea how prophetic those words would turn out to be. Throughout his lifetime, his popularity changed, but it peaked recently. He is now more than just a cult figure. His predictions of future technology have elevated Tesla to the status of a veritable oracle of our time, and his name graces one of our time's most newsworthy tech companies. Nikola Tesla had some mind-blowing predictions for the future, some of which even became true. He started having visions as a child, along with light flashes that made him unable to distinguish between the real world and his imagination. This remained constant. He could imagine inventions in such detail in his head as a result of the vision that he didn't even need to sketch them out. In a 1919 article, he described how the designs were refined in his head. He once commented that his device always performs as he had imagined it would, and that the experiments turn out precisely as he had intended. "There hasn't been a single exception in 20 years, expressed Tesla. Tesla attributes his interest in inventions to his mother. In her spare time, his mother created a variety of small home appliances. She possessed an eidetic memory which allowed her to recall an image from memory accurately, and she passed this ability to her son. Tesla's father was a priest and desired him to follow in his footsteps, but Tesla had a passion for engineering. His father promised to send him to engineering school if he survived cholera when he was a teen, and miraculously he did. He moved to Austria to attend the Technical College of Graz, where he reportedly worked from 3 in the morning until 11 at night every day. Professors feared he would pass away from exhaustion. Tesla possessed an extraordinary mind. He spoke 8 languages and had the ability to do calculus in his head. He started out as a good student but refused to finish school. Tesla left school early, traveled throughout Europe, and finally settled in Budapest, where he worked as an electrician for a telephone company. Tesla's prediction of data transmission without wires came true with the invention of the internet in the early 1990s. Various theories and designs centered on wireless data transmission resulted from Nikola Tesla's obsession with the subject. Tesla wanted to go further than Guglielmo Marconi, who was the first to send letters in Morse code across the Atlantic. He boldly asserted that one day wireless technology would allow the global transmission of music, video, documents, and telephone signals. While he never succeeded in doing this during his lifetime, his prediction was turned true in the early 1990s with the development of the internet. Tesla also predicted the future in an interview with Collier's magazine in 1926. Based on his concept of technology that could transmit images, music, and even video across the globe, he coined the term vest pocket technology. Tesla may have foreseen the development of the smartphone nearly a century before it was actually created. "We shall be able to witness and hear events, just as though we were present," he said in a reference to the technology. His 1926 interview with Collier's, titled "When Woman is Boss," mainly discussed his belief that women would use wireless technology to improve their education and employment prospects and ultimately overtake men as the dominant sex. While it may be challenging to draw a direct connection between technology and women's social and political liberation over the past century, it is undeniable that women are rising to leadership positions worldwide. Women today are rapidly using technology to spread awareness of international issues and movements like the #MeToo campaign and girls' right to education that pertain to the whole women's population globally. This struggle of the human female towards sex equality will end in a new sex order, with the female as superior, Tesla remarked. Tesla showed off a wireless, remote-controlled tele-automaton in 1898 at an electrical exhibition in Madison Square Garden, New York. Today, most people would refer to this device as a remote-controlled toy boat. He astounded onlookers with this new technology, harnessing the power of wireless communication, robotics, and logic gates. His 4-foot-long antennae-equipped boat maneuvered around a dot of water, while flashing lights made it primarily appear magical. Tesla Week in a Test thought of a variety of uses for remote-controlled machines, while military minds saw the potential application of this boat as a torpedo. Our homes are filled with numerous remote-controlled gadgets, and the military has extensively used long-range weapons like drones and missiles. Many people thought a tiny monkey was controlling it from the inside. He wasn't that far from the advancements in drone technology we've witnessed in recent years, believing there would one day be a place for remote-controlled machines. He boldly declared that the progress of the whole human race is regulated by the power available, alluding to his conviction that providing free electricity would benefit those struggling with deprivation and poverty. He started constructing Wardenclyffe, a wireless communication tower on the American East Coast in 1901 to send energy across the Atlantic. Unfortunately, it never got finished. His plan for power and early internet for the world came crashing down in 1902, quite literally. Tesla's investors at JP Morgan weren't happy about offering everything for free, so in an effort to recover the money from the scrap, the tower was blown up and the world was forced to wait an additional 90 years for a public World Wide Web. The Tower of Power was partially built in 1904 in Shoreham, Long Island, New York, thanks to Tesla's work on a power generator that could transmit energy wirelessly. It had a spherical top that was 68 feet in diameter and 187 feet high. Curiously, the United States destroyed the tower in 1917 on the rumor that German spies were using it. Nikola Tesla predicted electric cars and autopilot, which he expressed in an interview. As early as 1898, I proposed to representatives of a large manufacturing concern the construction and public exhibition of an automobile carriage which, left to itself, would perform a great variety of operations involving something akin to judgment. Tesla envisioned planes that need no fuel. This concept stems from the capability of long-distance energy transmission without wires. He explained that the propulsion of flying machines which won't require any fuel and won't be constrained by the same rules that currently apply to airplanes and airships will likely prove to be the most valuable use of wireless energy. He articulated that people would be able to ride from New York to Europe in a few hours. Tesla thought that international borders would be largely eliminated, which would be a significant step toward the unification and peaceful coexistence of the various races that inhabit the world. According to him, wireless would not only make it possible for a region to receive energy, even if it's inaccessible, but it will also be politically influential by bringing together different national interests and fostering understanding rather than nurturing conflict. In the latter years of his life, Tesla worked on a particle beam weapon that he believed would put an end to all wars. It would be so strong that it could easily take out anything the enemy threw at you, even from a great distance away. War would be pointless if such a weapon existed in every nation. The idea of mutually assured destruction was the cornerstone of the Cold War because the sides with nuclear weapons dared not attack one another, even though the ray was never built and the plans for it mysteriously vanished. In a 1933 interview, he elaborated on some concepts that seemed absurd. This particular invention would more closely resemble an MRI in a modern setting because it can perform some of the functions Tesla is referring to here. I expect to photograph thoughts. In 1893, while engaged in certain investigations, I became convinced that a definite image formed in thought must, by reflex action, produce a corresponding image on the retina, which might be read by a suitable apparatus. Now, if it be true that a thought reflects on an image on the retina, it is a mere question of illuminating the same property and taking photographs, and then using the ordinary methods which are available to project the image on a screen. If this can be done successfully, then the objects imagined by a person would be clearly reflected on the screen as they are formed, and in this way, every thought of the individual could be read. Our minds would then indeed be like open books. At one instance, Tesla gave the bizarre prediction of flying cars. He said he foresees the development of the flying machine exceeding that of the automobile and expects Mr. Ford to make significant contributions toward this progress. Tesla furthered that the problem of parking automobiles and furnishing separate roads for commercial and pleasure traffic will be solved. He said, "Belted parking towers will arise in our large cities, and the roads will be multiplied through sheer necessity or finally rendered unnecessary when civilization exchanges wheels for wings." He relocated to Paris in 1882 to work for Thomas Edison's electric company's French division. He began by installing indoor lighting, but after the managers became aware of his abilities, they hired him to do more challenging work, such as designing and constructing dynamos and motors. Soon he was traveling across Europe, troubleshooting issues at other Edison branches. Tesla's manager extended an employment offer to him at the Edison Machine Works in New York City 2 years later, in 1884. He agreed, but his money was stolen on the boat ride over, so he only had 4 cents in his pocket when he arrived in America. Tesla at first thought highly of Edison. Edison was also impressed by Tesla, later saying, "I have had many hard-working assistants, but you take the cake." This mutual admiration, however, didn't last. The two men disagreed on the best way to deliver and contain electricity. Edison preferred direct current, a system in which the flow of electric charge is unidirectional. Tesla was more fond of alternating current, in which the electric charge regularly reverses direction. Alternating current, AC, can transmit power further and provide more power. It explains why direct current, DC, powers more compact devices like flashlights, while AC powers our homes and other large appliances. However, since he held all the patents for direct current, Edison didn't care about AC because it might have reduced the sales of DC. Regardless of how the story ended, Tesla quit and left to start his own electric company the following year, in 1885. Edison reportedly said to him, "You don't understand our American humor." However, his investors lacked enthusiasm and decided to acquire both the business and all of Tesla's patents. They were able to do this because Tesla had given the company the patents in exchange for stock that was now worthless, and Tesla had to take a job digging ditches for $2 per day after losing his company in order to survive. But things would turn around for him. Tesla created an alternating current-powered induction motor in 1887. The motor was the most effective method of converting electrical energy into mechanical power. Elon Musk's Tesla cars, which bear his name, are powered by a variation of it. George Westinghouse, a significant player in the electric industry, was drawn to Tesla's AC motor after he patented it and displayed it the following year at the American Institute of Electrical Engineers. Westinghouse realized that Tesla's AC motor might be just what he needed to finish his alternating current system and compete against Edison's DC system. As a result, Tesla paid Westinghouse $60,000 to license the AC motor patents in exchange for stock and royalties. Westinghouse employed him as a consultant for $2,000 per month, which is more than $50,000 per month in today's dollars. The Battle of the Current started. Edison made a concerted effort to malign Tesla and Westinghouse. He covertly funded the electric chair to demonstrate how dangerous alternating current was. In order to make its case, Edison's company also publicly tortured animals. They electrocuted Topsy, a circus elephant, in 1903 and made a movie called Electrocuting an Elephant about it. Despite Edison's schemes, Westinghouse and Tesla were experiencing success. They submitted a lower bid than Edison and his recently established business General Electric to light the world's Columbian Exposition in Chicago in 1893. The 400th anniversary of Christopher Columbus's discovery of America was commemorated at the first ever all-electric fair. The 27 million attendees could see that AC was the way of the future. They won over Edison's General Electric once more to construct Niagara Falls' first alternating current power plant, continuing their winning streak. The hydroelectric power plant was a huge success and contributed to Buffalo, New York being illuminated. The facility's construction also marked Tesla's entry into the field of renewable energy. Today, his statue can be seen standing at Niagara Falls. Direct current was being phased out due to Westinghouse and Tesla winning the war of currents. However, there were issues. The company owned by Westinghouse was out of money and eventually racked up a $10 million debt. In an effort to save the business, he went to Tesla in 1897 and asked if his royalties could be decreased. Tesla tore up his contract because he was so moved by compassion for his friend. When no one else would, Westinghouse believed in Tesla and he was appreciative of that fact. Tesla voluntarily turned down $12 million in royalties, which are now worth over $300 million. He probably would have become the world's richest man and the first to have a net worth of over $1 billion if he had held on to those royalties over time. Tesla received $216,000 from Westinghouse in exchange for the unrestricted use of his AC patents. This is roughly the same as $60 million today. With that money, Tesla established his financial independence and launched several new projects in New York, where he hosted visits from the rich and famous, including Mark Twain, a close friend and one of the greatest American authors of all time. This was his period of many inventions. The Tesla coil, a device that can generate significant amounts of high-voltage electricity, is among his best-known creations. He found that he could send and receive strong radio signals when the coils resonated at the same frequency. But when Tesla was about to transmit his first radio signal, tragedy struck. In 1895, a fire destroyed his laboratory. He lost years of research and tools. It took Tesla 2 years before the radio was the subject of a patent application. His life spiraled downward after the fire, which would mark a turning point. Guglielmo Marconi, an Italian businessman, was working on the radio in England at the same time that he was. He attempted to obtain US patent rights but was denied because his invention was too similar to Tesla's. However, everything changed in 1901 when Marconi used 17 of Tesla's patents to transmit the first transatlantic radio message, ushering in a new era. Then Edison decided to support Marconi financially. Tesla had no issue with Marconi's accomplishments, but the US Patent Office abruptly changed its mind in 1904 and gave Marconi a patent for the development of the radio. The solid financial support Marconi received may help to explain why this choice was made, even though no explanation has ever been provided. It was only because of Tesla's work that Marconi was able to win the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1911. Furious, Tesla filed a lawsuit against Marconi. Years of court proceedings resulted in a settlement in Tesla's favor that was only reached after his passing. The rest of Tesla's career suffered due to that radio incident. For instance, Tesla was driven to make wireless communication a reality and constructed the enormous Wardenclyffe Tower wireless transmission tower in Long Island, New York. He pictured a world in which we could communicate wirelessly. However, many of his inventions were impossible to construct. Those comprised the wireless transmission of electricity, the thought camera, and the death ray. He also wanted to make an earthquake machine that could create artificial earthquakes. Scientists could have used it to find essential minerals inside the earth. Once more, he was far ahead of his time. Financial backers, however, lacked sufficient confidence in his project. Instead, they withdrew and bet on Marconi's radio invention. Tesla was left bankrupt as a result. In 1905, he was forced to give up on his visionary project and eventually lost Wardenclyffe Tower to foreclosure. Tesla's mental state deteriorated. Beginning in 1933, he spent his final 10 years in the New Yorker Hotel. He was a consultant for Westinghouse Corporation, which also paid for his lodging. Despite living rent-free, he passed away in debt. Despite all the struggles he fought against his entire life and the accomplishments he achieved, Tesla's last message to his mother were rather grim and sorrowful. Part of his letter from 1892 reads, "My dear mother, I feel sad and dreary when I think of you. I don't know how, but I feel that you are not well. I wish I could be beside you now, mother, to bring you a glass of water. All these years that I had spent in the service of mankind brought me nothing but insults and humiliation. This morning I woke up early, just before dawn, because I had heard something that I'd been hearing through my dreams for quite some time now. I heard this voice that sang some beautiful chant, lament, or even prayer in Moorish. When I came to my senses, I realized this voice came from everywhere, and it was impossible to determine whether it was from within. I am afraid of losing my mind. I cannot confide this to Dr. Lionel because I don't trust him anymore. I heard that he visited Mr. Edison 2 weeks ago." Another letter he wrote after his mother passed away just days after said, This letter will never get to you, Mother. I don't know why I write it to you when you cannot read it. Rest in peace, Mother, and please forgive me for choosing paths that led me away from you. I cannot even be there for your funeral. I read the telegram that informed me of your death and despise people who weren't ready to understand 2 years ago that electricity can be transferred without wires. Now they have seen it, but they won't use it for centuries to come because someone burned my downtown laboratory to the ground with all my formulas and writings in it. They suspect of Mr. Edison. I became so indifferent I cannot even recognize myself. I would maybe feel sad before, but not anymore, because I am now sure that someone is keeping my patents under control, that my discovery isn't mine at all, and finally that mankind was not ready for it. I know that someone is overseeing everything and has a plan of their own, which is probably why I am indifferent. A maid at the New Yorker hotel entered room 3327 on January the 7th, 1943, and discovered the body of an 86-year-old man who had spent the last 10 years living there. Tesla passed away broke and alone. Warm milk and crackers were his only food. He was devoted to feeding pigeons outside. One of history's greatest inventors vanished into obscurity and passed away without a penny in his pocket. One might think Tesla died penniless because he was severely unlucky at times. However, the actual reason is quite different. Tesla was not a capitalist, which is the main explanation. Tesla made choices that people with greater business sense would not have made, like giving up his AC motor royalty payments. Money wasn't a concern for him. He was worried about the advancement of humanity through science. But Tesla succeeded in changing the world as he hoped. People are beginning to learn more about the man who served as the inspiration for Elon Musk's business, a man whose inventions would power the entire planet, in part because of Musk's business. Tesla is responsible for the way that modern society runs today. It was accurate for Tesla's mother to refer to him as a child of light.